In light of what has happened in recent weeks, there has been a lot of online commotion surrounding what I'm going to call a massive split and divide in the progressive movement. So once upon a time, irregardless of whether you agreed or liked a lot of these channels, you had pretty much a lot of the indie media all kind of coming together for one thing in particular. And that is serious change, wanting to take over the Democratic Party. Now, that's the main thing, but let's move into some of the specifics of what kind of changes they wanted to see. The Medicare for all, okay? Getting rid of Citizens United, things like that. Now, post-2016, the divide, arguably going into this election cycle, already became big enough. You had a lot of the progressives split into different camps behind different candidates. You had people who were pro-Bernie. You had people who were pro-Tulsi. You had people who were pro-Yang. You had people who were pro-Marianne Williamson. She's one that I never really included very much, honestly. A lot of people consider her the fourth one. Then there was also one who was the supposed progressive, and that was Elizabeth Warren. She had a camp full as well, and as far as numbers went, was bigger than Marianne Williamson's. Okay, so you had all these different factions. Now the problem became that a lot of these camps, instead of looking at the value of the other side and trying to all work together, then became a big pissing contest of, no, my candidate is the candidate, and your candidate is bad because of X, Y, and Z, and because your candidate's in this race, they're only stealing votes from my candidate. People went into this playing a game of checkers, not the chess game. And this was a chess game race, plain and simple. The candidates, arguably, some of them played it as a checker game, but I would say a large portion of their following played it as a checker game and not a chess game. Okay? And the result was, of course, when the establishment united behind Joe Biden, we then saw the fallout, especially when the one guy left standing was the one who really didn't have a spine, wasn't really serious about trying to win, and wound up pretty much just handing the reins over to Joe Biden in a manner of speaking. Now, since all this has happened, we've started to see a couple of other things. Surprisingly enough, some people who have had disagreements in the past, channels whom I have called out for a lot of the things that they were saying in the past, are now starting to say things that I'm saying on this channel. And it's not because I'm saying, well, my candidate lost, guess I better rethink my strategy for my YouTube channel. No, it's just this is the way I see it. Okay? This is the aftermath, the way I see it. And these are the facts, as they appear to me. Okay? But ironically enough, some of these other channels are saying the same thing. But then you've got other channels that are not. And some of those were predictable to, go whichever way the wind blew. TYT. Can I name a couple of others? Nonetheless, okay, there are some people who have most certainly caught a lot of heat because of their stance at this time, because they will not support Joe Biden. Okay? And the two at the top of the list who are at this point starting to kind of get maligned a little bit, I guess you could say, by some of the very people they've been associating with throughout this last cycle, and possibly even longer, are Kyle Kulinski and Jimmy Dore. They are starting to become a little bit of an outcast, from what I'm starting to see. Kyle Kulinski got hit with a firestorm after he sent out a couple of tweets saying that, yeah, go ahead, blame me for Trump getting reelected because I'm not going to vote for Joe Biden. I welcome you to do it. Go right ahead. And then next time, try and figure out how you can win my vote. Now, that's not his exact words, but that's kind of more or less what he said, okay? Of course, Jimmy Dore is calling out exactly what he's been calling out. He hasn't changed a single thing. He's been saying what he's been saying this entire time. The difference is that we have now seen that certain people around him did change because of the outcome, and they are now trying to do the very things that they complained about. And I believe the most, obvious example of that was his recent interview that he did with Aaron Maté. Okay? Now, he had Aaron Maté on his show a lot. He and Aaron were BFFs over Russiagate. Okay? So he and Aaron were constantly working in unison. Now this happens, and Aaron Maté is kind of echoing the sentiments of you should vote for the lesser of two evils, and Jimmy Dore had to give him some educational history. And I thought Jimmy Dore did this, very, very uniquely. And I thought it was very well done. He brought up to Aaron, he said, between George H.W. Bush and Bill Clinton in 1992, which one was the lesser of two evils? And I'm going to be honest, it kind of stumped me at first. Sitting there thinking about it, the first thing that came to my mind was Bill Clinton. And that's what Aaron Maté said. And then Jimmy Dore said, no, H.W. Bush. Because if H.W. Bush had been in office, the Democrats would never have let him do the kind of things they let Bill Clinton do after he got elected to office. They allowed Bill Clinton to do the very same things Bush would probably have tried to have done, but they allowed him to do it because he is in their party. It serves their interest, and he's part of their party, and it serves the donor's interest, so they gave him the pass. Wow. Imagine that. Okay? So, H.W. Bush could actually be argued to be the lesser of the two evils simply because he wouldn't have had, Congress in his back pocket. Vice versa, he argued John McCain would have been the lesser of two evils when it came to Barack Obama because he wouldn't have the Congress in his back pocket should he have taken office. They arguably would have done the exact same thing. Obama ran on a platform and did not enforce that platform when he took office and was allowed to get by with kicking over 5 million families out of their homes because he had the Democratic Congress in his back pocket. Wow. Interesting way of thinking about it. But nonetheless, there are a lot of people who are calling them out and saying that pretty much the progressives are dead. That's the way I interpret that. Point in case, Sam Cedar recently goes on his show, The Majority Report, and he argues that should Joe Biden win in November, that Kyle Kalinske is basically going to become a relic of the past. He argues that, your argument is that, Kyle, Joe Biden needs your vote. But if he were to win in November and didn't get your vote, what good are you? Why do we need your vote? We won without you. We don't need you. Go pound sand. Now, if I thought there was an actual real chance of Joe Biden winning in November, I could see Sam's point, but that's just not the case. However, the bigger picture here is this, what people have to start understanding. The Democratic Party is not going to change. Okay? So, I like the fact that Kyle is saying, if you want my vote, you better wisen up. But the problem is, you got to understand something here. We're arguing about something that is two sides of the same coin. Yes, the Democrats are going to go out there and they're going to give the nice speech and talk about how they want to be your leader and how they can lead you best as your president or as any other elected official. But if they are a bought and paid for candidate, understand one thing. One thing. And that is, when push comes to shove, they had rather lose to the other side, who will also be doing things that their donors will probably like, than institute good policy that their donors don't like. And that is why I say to all the, faith, trust, and a little bit of pixie dust people out there that really and truly believe that being nice to these folks, and I'm not saying we should just be assholes, but they think that deep down, this, spirit of goodwill or whatever is going to sway people like Joe Biden to an entirely new way of thinking. Yeah, and with a little bit of faith, trust, and pixie dust, we can all fly to Never Never Land, okay? It's not going to happen. Unless you have a lot of money laying around that you can show to him and watch his eyes go, You were saying what about Medicare for all? I think it's a lovely idea. Matter of fact, I wish I had thought of that myself. That's quite a lovely idea you come up with. Yeah, I think I should push for that from day one. Of course, again, that requires a few $1 million. You better be a big lobbyist is what I'm getting at. And if you're not, he got a few other big lobbyists telling him to do the complete opposite. So you tell me, okay, even though this is corruption, you got to think of it like this. If somebody walked up to you and basically said, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to make you a wealthy person. You'll never have to pay another bill in your life. All your debt is covered. And the only thing you have to do are some morally irresponsible things that I ask you to do. Meaning that if I asked you to maybe go buy someone's car one day and just swipe it with a key because I don't like them. If I ever wanted, someone's house egged, okay? Or quite frank, if I want you to just say create a fake online account and go online and just slander someone to no end. And I will take care of everything you ever need for the rest of your life. But somebody else knew about that very thing and came along to you and said, look, I can't offer you this much money. I can't give you what they're going to give you, but the morally right thing to do would be to not do that. And to not do that, but let these other people know this is what they want to do to you. Or what so-and-so wants to do to you. That's the morally right thing to do, and I know he's wanting to do that, and I can't offer you all that money, but I'm here to just beg and plead with you on behalf of your moral compass that this is the right thing for you to do. How many people do you think would sit there and turn down the money? And be honest with yourselves. See, and that's the problem you're running into. The people who look at this as if, we've got leverage on Joe because we can be nice to him, and we're going to vote for you, Joe. Please give us a little bit more than a crumb. Maybe just a few crumbs, please, Joe. Okay, you're not going to change it. You're not going to change it. And this is the very thing that people like Jimmy Dore and Kyle Kalinske are arguing, and in the meantime, they're getting more and more and more maligned by certain, indie media channels for it. A lot of people who've been extremely critical of what we've been seeing out of the establishment, out of Hillary Clinton, out of a Joe Biden, are now sitting there being the very people saying, take what you can get and learn to live with it. And that's just simply not going to get any kind of results. Period. You're going to get nothing out of it. So, again, right, as things stand right now, my takeaway from all this is, the Democrat progressive movement is dead. Maybe you see it different from me, but I think it's dead and buried at this point. The figurehead who's been kind of leading the charge since 2016 has been utterly dismembered and dismantled and arguably on his way to be buried right now politically. And that would be good old champion Bernie Sanders. Okay? He's done. He's done. And he's even called his supporters irresponsible if they won't go vote for Joe Biden. And that has done nothing but take certain people and say, yeah, you are irresponsible if you don't go vote for Joe Biden. Don't you want Trump out of office? And then other people say, no, screw you. We wanted you, Bernie. We don't want Joe Biden. He doesn't stand for what you stand for. We will not go vote for him. We're tired of being pissed on. We're tired of having our crumbs as a meal and the status quo's piss as our drink to wash it down with. We're tired of the crumb urine menu combination, and we don't want any more of it. Okay? Divided, man. Utterly divided. The figurehead has gone down in flames. Even Tulsi Gabbard, with her no real reason for the praise that she gave Joe, that has maligned a lot of her base. You've got some that say, hey, I'm Tulsi all the way. Tulsi, 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 Tulsi. Tulsi 2024. Then you've got other people saying, nope, she done the same thing Bernie did last time. I want no part of her. It's dead. It's dead. At this point, here's my message to progressives out there. Time to wake up and time to come to the realization it's third party time. It was really third party time yesterday. But it's third party time. The Democrats are not going to turn over control of that party. And at least going third party, you're building something from the ground up, and if you do it the right way, it won't be corrupted from the inside already. You build it up the right way, and you build a legitimate counterpart. See, because here's the thing, people. Here's the thing, okay? Right now, the Democrats and the Republicans have already pitted the other side to hate the other side. It's very difficult, if you're a Democrat, to win a lot of Republicans over to your side, because the Republicans have brainwashed the majority of their base into thinking that Democrats are nothing but a bunch of snowflake liberals who believes everyone deserves a trophy and that there should be over 100 genders in the world and you can use whatever bathroom you please, and all their typical talking points on social issues and identity politics to tell you this is what a Democrat is. Likewise, the Democrats have led most of their base to believe that all Republicans are nothing but a bunch of white nationalists who worship the orange man with the yellow hair, and that all they want is a lot more white America, okay, and a few more Klan rallies throughout the South, okay? That's what the Democrats have led you to believe. That's what most Republicans are. So it's very difficult for any of them to ever switch sides at this point, because they have such stereotypes built into their heads about this is what the other side is. I can't associate with these people. So you arguably really need an alternative to the both of them. That way there's going to be some people in the Democrats and the Republicans that say, you know what, yeah, I don't like that other side. I don't like the politics, but you know what, this sounds like a working class party over here, actually. I don't know anything about these people. Maybe I'll give them a try. Third party time, guys. The Democrat, test has tried and has been experimented, and it has failed. Utterly. And arguably the entire, progressive movement that was among the Democrat Party is absolutely in shambles. So it's third party time. Anyone who wants to see this change for real and is not just going to fall in line and vote for Joe, you got to understand something. If you're not going to take this third party thing seriously, 4 more years, you're going to get another repeat of this. And it, just like doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. I would argue that sitting around and doing nothing but expecting something to happen could arguably be right in there with it. So you can't very well want change to happen if you're not going to start doing things to try to bring that change about. That means you're going to have to get out there and really start getting a message out there. A lot of people lean towards the Greens. I'm not quite there with the Greens. I'd argue I'm a little more with the Greens than I am Libertarians for sure. But there are certain things that I just can't bring myself to support among the Green Party. For example, completely getting rid of our entire military. Can't get behind that. I believe there should be massive cuts. Don't get me wrong. Way too much waste going on. But we do need our military. Plain and simple, okay? But nonetheless, wherever we're going to go, whether it be starting a new party, because that is going to be a high uphill battle, or trying to really start getting behind one of the already built third parties and really elevate them to a higher platform, something's going to have to be seriously done here. I mean, it really is. but this is the way to do it. This experiment, I'll argue this. If you're going to try to run another outsider candidate to do a hostile takeover, run on the Republican Party next time around, because the last time they tried it, Donald Trump actually made it all the way through. Oh, and surprisingly enough, there's actually more lefty things coming out of that party's mouth right now than the Democrats. So the next time, if you're going to try to take over one of the main two parties again, I would argue you try the Republican Party and not the Democrat one, because the Democrat one is far too rigged and screwed up, and you'll never get it done. Just my thoughts on the matter.